Man, what an absolute night, dude. That is... I don't even have words. I don't even have words for you. I mean, I'm gonna have to. We got an hour worth of words, right? Oh. Let me see if I got the right scene here. Not quite. There we go. What's up, guys? If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Donnie. RotoMoto, work with RacerX, work with PulpMX. I post all the stuff on social for football, fantasy, all that thing. So many words, Mikey, dude. Forkner's crash, Eli's crash. Let's just get this out of the way. If these guys cannot capitalize on the one time that Eli does it, then what are they going to do? What can they possibly do? Like, this is the one time when Eli makes a mistake, and none of them could do it. Anderson blew it, Sexton blew it, freaking Mookie blew it, everybody blew it. Every single one of them couldn't capitalize. And what does that say? I'm not saying that Eli's going to win the title. I'm not going that far. But, man, this is the night. If you were going to do it, if you were going to stop Eli, this was the night. And they couldn't stop Eli. So that puts him, what? He's now 3 races from catching Ricky in wins, which would just be bonkers. He only needs 6 more now to move into second all time behind MC, which honestly feels like a fake thing too. It's just ridiculous, man. It's so bad. Forkner's crash was super gnarly. We'll get into that. I'll pull that up. We can break it down. I think I know what happened. Again, super freak accident. The Jet praise has got to go. God, I love that kid, and I want to love that kid, and I want all of us to love that kid. The sport should be rallying around that kid, but it's just too much. It's too much, even just them mentioning the Forkner wrecked, and then I think it was Ricky was like, and he was lined up next to Jet, and I'm like, oh, first off, he wasn't, because you literally showed him on the camera. They showed him at the start, and he was next to RJ and McAdoo. RJ wasn't really on screen, but you could see him. But I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, let's say he was lined up next to Jet. What does that have to do? Oh, so bad. If it was Lee, I'd understand, but it wasn't. It was Ricky, and that makes it work. Yeah, I agree, Wamba. I agree. It did seem like Mookie hit neutral there. He just had a loss of power, and that hurts so bad. The only thing I could think of too is if he maybe kind of paused for a minute, because Sexton kind of goofed that section up too, right in front of him. And I don't know, I'm not saying that's what happened, but he definitely probably had a pause, because I was watching Chase and going, oh, and then I saw Mookie do the flips, and it was just, oh man, it was just over. It was just over. Please keep, I will quit the broadcast there. Well, tell me your fantasy results. 217 for me, I'll take it. Needed a lot of help in the end there. Robbie Wageman missed me double. Real sad about that. The real number 69. Big bummer there, but it is what it is. I got double points at everybody else. Dino got double points. He was my lock. He got 28, which isn't crazy. AC got 30. Savachi got 32. Craig was the one guy I left off my team, and he only got 10, so I was happy about it. Everyone messed up there, but yeah, man, this track was gnarly. It was so, and I don't even know, was it the layout? Do we know? Does anybody know? Like, was it that the layout was so rough? Or was it just that the conditions were so bad? Because the layout seemed a little bad, like, and again, it's just so hard to tell, because you had the instance where, the whoops, they were literally jumping over the entire whoop section in one go. That's the track breaking down. There's nothing much you can do about that, given the weather and stuff like that. But it was just, everybody seemed to struggle. But what are your biggest takeaways on it? Webb, washed up Webb comes back, looked great. AP looked good. I don't know what happened to him. I'll have to go back and look and see if we can find anything in the background of what maybe happened to him, because he was running really good. He was running like 6th or 7th. And then all of a sudden I look and he was in 11th, which was good for me because it got me a lot of fantasy points. But big bummer for him because he looked really strong. Looks like he ended up 8th, so maybe it was just timing and scoring was goofed up. Sigmar and B-Hood, of course. I actually had this one custom made for me to match this shirt, and I don't have the sneakers, but this one's custom. He wrecked became Act 8. Nice, Jarrett, nice. So he was good. Pierce Brown, God, that wreck didn't even look so bad, 18. It really didn't look so bad. The broadcast won't let me back it up any farther than maybe the LCQ, freaking Peacock. So I can't go back and look at the heats. Yeah, it looks like just the LCQ. So I can't go back and look at Pierce's. Man, Master Pool blowing it. That was hard. I didn't pick him in fantasy, but he just had a really good run going. So real bummer that he couldn't put it together. But let me see what we can do. We're not going to be able to watch a ton of footage because the YouTube gods will get mad at it, but we can see some of it. Let's at least take a look at Forkner's crash, because that was wild. We'll get the couple angles on it if anybody knows where the replays were. I'm just going to go straight to the replays because that had 2 angles back to back. I think that'd be the best way to do it. Do you think Cooper Webb? I don't know, man. KB, I will say, just like last year, because remember that Cooper Webb got second last year at A1 too. He was on the podium. But remember, just like this year, he got a lot of help because Marv took out Mookie, Barsha took out Anderson. Like, there was a lot of things that benefited where I think Webb was more of a 5th or 6th place guy at A1 last year, and he just benefited by being one of the only guys to stay out of trouble. And I mean, that rings true again here. Like, you know, Sexton had his troubles. He obviously just barely beat him, but Sexton has troubles. Malcolm had troubles. Even Eli had troubles, but he obviously won the race. Anderson had troubles. Like, I think that Webb was bona fide 5th or 6th best guy against Knight, but hey, there's something to be said. You can't, I mean, look, it's the Ryan Dungey. It's the Ryan Dungey experience of there's something to be said about a guy that just can show up every time, never go down, and stay in contention every single week. And that's honestly how he won his title. So I got the footage pulled up here. It's in the split screen, unfortunately. But of course, the broadcast is looking at Jet. So you'll see right here that RJ and Forkner are going to touch, and his back wheel is going to kind of kick him between RJ and the rut. It's going to kick his bike over to McAdoo. So as he kicks over to McAdoo, this weird thing's going to happen where Forkner's front tire is going to get pressed against the rotational force of McAdoo's rear wheel, and Forkner's rear wheel is going to be touching against RJ on the other side. So he's going to be stuck in this weird like physics thing right here where he literally cannot stand up. He cannot lean back the other way. He's stuck. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but it's kind of like when you're a newer rider and you don't know how to handle whoops very well, and you know you need to lean left, but you're standing up too much kind of thing. It's the same thing, but in reverse. So he's literally stuck between 2 rolling things, and then it looks like once the knobs of their tires kind of start to lock, that's what, like right there, and then once it lets go, like once the front wheel lets go of McAdoo's bike, that's when it all goes downhill. I rewound a little too far. Yeah, here we'll do it again. And it just, as soon as he unlocks from McAdoo, so right there, and then once right there he's touching RJ, and then he unlocks from McAdoo, and it just catches, all of a sudden he catches traction. And I don't know, this dismount, man, the force that his back does, his feet and his head both bend in the wrong direction. Right here, that move right there is so incredibly gnarly. I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know if he's gonna have an injury, but even if he doesn't have an injury, like his entire body is gonna be just decimated. It's so hard to explain, but yeah, right there, that right there, you can literally see where his body reaches its like maximum sideways backwards flexibility, and it snaps back. And that's just, it's one of the most brutal ragdolls I've ever seen for a crash that wasn't even that bad. It's not like he got ejected over the bars or anything. He just, that's like, and I don't want to say freak accident because that gets thrown around so much, but absolute freak accident, like as freak of an accident as you can possibly do right there. And the worst part is, if you watched him, I don't know what it was on the broadcast, but when they show him on the ground or when they show him coming off the cart, he doesn't seem hurt. He seems mad. And like as a competitor, as a fan of competitors, I'm excited that he's mad about it more than he's hurt. Like he definitely had that fired up, and obviously it's probably a lot of adrenaline. But oh man, because even if he's fine, that's the worst part is even if he's fine, his season's over. What's the point? You know what I mean? Like he wasted his eligibility. He can't go back to East or anything like that. I'm gonna reclip this because it's about to fall off for some reason. He can't go back. He can't go and do East. His whole year of West is wrecked, and luckily they did change the rules where he's not gonna point out. So there's no reason for him to pull out of the series and anything like that. If he wants to race, he can race. There's no eligibility to save, which at least is great for him. But man, that one is just harsh. You don't want, yeah, you would want a neck brace, right, Wamba? And I'm not gonna get on the other side of the Rhino argument. I'm not ready to have that beef. Well, I'm not leveled up far enough for that, but I agree that's definitely one you want to have that. Does anybody know, are the fantasy results final yet? Can somebody let me know once the fantasy results are final, and I'll pull them up on the screen and we can look at it. Oh, does Forkner try moving up to 450s? Loop, I don't think, where does he go? I think that's the problem. We're just in this awkward spot of where does he go? Like, we're done. You know what I mean? Like, it's, we're already having enough trouble getting rides for the guys that are already there. But I mean, I don't want to say can we top this, but for as far as A1s go, was there a more eventful night than this? Was there a more eventful night? He said he's doing 450. I haven't heard that, Joey. Do you know where? This was one of the rounds where going more All-Stars was a benefit. I had 6. You had 6, Vic? Wow. Luckily you picked the right ones, though. Tough night. I know, Jared. I know. I didn't even bother him because I wanted to text him and be like, is there anything I can give to you guys to try to help out? But I was like, I'll just tweet. Mark's is working on it. I'm the one tweeting. Stop being those people. I know none of you are those people, but in case you're watching and you're not in chat, don't be one of those people that's like, oh, if you have time to tweet, you have time to fix it, because I'm the one that tweets. Mark's is the one in the back end. Like, we have 2 different jobs. I can't help him. I don't know what he does, and I can't even begin to help it. In his interview, okay, Joey, I'll have to look at it. I mean, like, obviously, I know he wants to go 450. He's talked that a lot, that he wants to go 450. I just don't know where he would have room to end up. You know what I mean? I had 8 with Forkner, but still, when you say 677 but you keep saying that, that's not a real number, right? What number? Like, you said that in Discord too. You can't score 600 points. Like, the absolute maximum you could muster tonight is like 280. Forkner might race monster Kawasaki MX. Yeah, for who? Cacti, the only thing I can think of is who takes Tomac's spot on Star. But I don't think they would want to go. I don't think they want to go there. That's my rank. Got it. I was gonna say, I don't know what you mean by 677. He's on the Wampa juice. Oh, when they said Forkner in the line, I said out loud, he is gonna crash. The worst part is that I don't want him to crash. Like, I don't want him to get hurt. Regardless if you're a fan of Forkner or not, like, especially in the 250 class of everything, we need everybody healthy. Like, the fans, the series, the riders, the sport benefits having Jet, RJ, Cam, Forkner, like Pierce Brown for that matter. Like, the sport benefits having all of those guys. And it just sucks to see any of them go down. Like, no matter how you feel about any of these guys. Like, same, I know that a lot of people are really tired of all the Jet nonsense, and same, honestly, same. But like, the sport needs these superstars and they need them healthy. So it's a bummer. Sexton may go to start. He will Muppet, but not for outdoors. That's something that he cannot break his Honda deal until 2024 at least. Somebody said, can we Bloss is okay. He's kind of dead to me. Yeah, Jared, alive or dead, he's kind of dead to me. I feel ya. Today's my first day reading. How did you do? I hope you did well. Someone in Discord says AC is next, and everyone's like, don't speak that, and absolutely not, no. You know what? Quiet night for AC. I know he wasn't happy about it, but he got such a bad start. I was like, he's not the kind of guy that's going to work through the pack. I don't want to breathe this into existence because I don't want to put him into like the name of a less Vince Friesen them, because he's obviously not one of those guys. But AC is one of those guys that has always benefit from getting a great start and fending people off. He is not a guy that charges through the pack. He never really did that in the 250s. So when I saw him get like a 14th place start, I was like, well, I just hope he can get double points. That was all I was hoping he could do. And I'll take the 30 out of AC. Just do the laps. Yeah, we need to put AC on the A-Ray program. Get our A's together. Yeah, Colt looked good. I know a couple of you guys have said to mention Colt. I say looked good. We didn't see him much. There was just so much action. Normally, I'm always mad that they're not showing more guys, but they did a really good. The 250s not so much. I can't believe we missed the RJ pass on McAdoo because we were watching, I don't know, something else in the back of the field, which was a bummer. But as far as the 450s went, they were showing the big things that happened every time. I think the only moment we missed was Tomac's spin out on top of the box, but that wasn't even that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Is Anderson banged up? RJ, I'm gonna say no. He probably got winded, and the bike probably got a little bit tangled up, but I think he'll be fine with it. Who was the Cowie? I don't know, Raul. Can we go back and watch it? We can go back and watch that probably, if it'll let me. Sometimes the broadcast lets me, and sometimes it doesn't. No, it's not gonna let me. I'll do my best. We'll see if we can pull it up and take a look at it. I hate to hop on this train, but they do show Jet way too much. And I get it. Again, I get it. I understand he's the face of the sport. I don't mind him being in all the fluff pieces. I don't mind him being in a lot of ads. I don't mind him being in all the marketing material. That's what's going to happen when you have a superstar like this. Like he has the combination of Ricky and Pastrana. Like nobody can deny that. He has the marketability of Pastrana, and he has the dominance, I guess, of I don't want to go Stu RC, but I mean, like, if he wins this title, that's 4 titles in 4 consecutive seasons. Like that's a big deal. But when it's on the broadcast, they just felt like they brought him up anytime they could, and I'm like, we don't need to talk about him every 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds is too much. You know what I mean? Usually has a replay. I know, Loop. I was being able to skim through the original broadcast, so they might have finally cut that, unfortunately. Yeah, now it says replay available soon. So does Jet win all night? Vic, no. Something. I mean, you saw him in practice and stuff. I know practice isn't the race, but he'll have a problem. He's still a teenager. Like, he'll have a problem. Guaranteed. And this competition is too stout. The only way I see him winning all 9 is if RJ and McAdoo crash out by the end of the year, because if not them, I don't see anybody else realistically beating him. Not to say that it couldn't happen, but it'd have to be a crazy night for, say, Oldenburg or Voland or something like that to steal a win. You know what I mean? How do you think Marks is doing right now? I'm sure he's doing great. Jet should be the golden boy he proved it week after week. It just is. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Sexton has got the Dungy syndrome. Finish as high as you can when you're not comfortable. Yeah, and I think Sexton did a really good job tonight. He did exactly what he needed to do. I'm gonna lower my desk a little bit. Sorry not to flex on y'all, but I got one of these new desks. But I wanna like center myself up in the shot a little bit better. But he did really good. Any updates? Not yet, Jacob. Now that I have contacts with Racer X and I'm going to try to press them to be like, hey, can I get something? Can you guys give me something to say? Maybe not on the live show tonight, but if you guys don't know, I signed on with Racer X for the Supercross season, so I'm doing Roto, which is the channel you're on right now. That's my own personal channel that I started. I edit for the Pulp show. I do the Pulp fantasy video and socials, and now I'm doing videos for the Racer X channel as well. The contract is just for Supercross. I'm supposed to do 2 videos a week for them, give or take. I'm also doing stuff for the Pro Motocross channel, because for those of you that don't know, Racer X and Pro Motocross are kind of under the same umbrella. So there might be one week where I do a Racer X video and maybe I'll make something for the Pro Motocross channel instead. But generally speaking, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I imagine they're going to want me to do a piece, obviously, from tonight. So maybe I can be like, hey, get me a quote from Mitch or Forkner himself or somebody, you know, like give me something substantial that I can actually report on instead of just posting a video with nothing to say like a lot of the other people do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I want to actually have a statement from somebody, even if it's a you know, sources say about Pierce Brown, about Forkner's health and Bloss and all that. So maybe we can get that. Can we get more chat? Absolutely, B Hood. I want to do that for sure. I want to do that for sure. The track breakdowns, if you guys watched that, I got to talk to Jeff Ward and Rick Johnson, which was super cool. Those guys were super cool, and they talked so much, man. I had to shut Rick Johnson down. Like, it was like 40 minutes, and I was like, yo, I'm only going to use like 6 minutes of this, man. Like, he is a chatter. Very nice guy. If Pierce is out, probably not, Joey. I don't think they go out and sign anybody. I don't know who they would sign. It'd be different if it was like a 250 only squad and they would, but since they already have Barsha, they're still gonna take the semi out to every event, so probably not. They didn't do it last year because Pierce missed a couple rounds, so we'll see. Where's the app, Marks? It'll be out Friday, man. Just, you know, which Friday is it? My wife is arguing with me that Jed is better than RC and Bubba. I mean, he could be. Michael, let's be honest. He could be. We will not know. You cannot make that now. It is out. Way too far out. Oldenburg, he did, Cac. I feel like it's got to be hard for those guys like Oldenburg, where that's his cap. Like, he's clearly the best guy of that second tier, and that's got to be so incredibly frustrating for a competitor like Oldenburg, where he just straight up cannot run with RJ, Jet, and McAdoo and Forkner. He just can't. He's just not that level of a guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's at the 98 percentile instead of 99. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? But as long as he just keeps showing up, putting in these rides, you know, he keeps Vince off the track as long as he does good. Oh, thoughts on Kickstart Kenny? Man, Kickstart Kenny looked really good there. I didn't think he was gonna win, but I did have to be like, yo, if Ken Roczen wins, and let's be honest, when the first couple laps, he might have, you know. Sorry, I'm still a little sick, so sorry if I cough. I'll try to mute or pull the mic away. What does that mean? Like, is that a Kenny thing or is that a Suzuki thing? Like, who does it mean more for? Like, even him getting, you know, top 5, who does that mean more for? Does it mean more for Kenny or does it mean more for Suzuki? I don't know. Now she thinks she's right. Mrs. Treese, you're doing great, sweetie. Do you think Forkner should have shut down after not getting the jump? No, Jason, no, absolutely not. No, you can't. These guys are trained at 4 years old. It's easy for us, Jason, it's easy for us to watch this back in replay and break it down and look at it. If you guys, once the replay comes up, we'll look at it again. But these guys are doing this in real time. We're talking milliseconds. There's nothing he could have done. I had a wreck where I messed up my arm really bad. And I high-sided, like I started to go down. I was 9, I want to say. And I started to low side and I let off the throttle and it threw me over. And, you know, like that's one of the ones that plays back in my mind a million times. And I know what, like, well, if I would have just, instead of letting off the throttle, if I would have just, like, you know, grabbed a little bit of rear brake, it would have straightened out and everything would have been fine. And I remember that, like, you know, 25 years later, I still remember that crash. And I still remember coulda, woulda, shoulda, but you can't make those decisions when we're talking milliseconds. It just happens, you know what I mean? Malcolm blew it. Dark Side, I mean, you saw him. Dark Side Rob, not the Dark Side, other Dark Side. You saw him, man. He was limping over there. He wanted to ride, but he was limping. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he'll be fine to ride, but ouch, you know what I mean? If only Dylan could start. Dylan looked great. He really did. Can we talk really quick? Yeah, can we talk really quick, Joey, about Enzo Lopes? Not a fluke. Not a fluke. Because he came out and got the first qualifying, and then his second qualifying was more where he should be, you know what I mean? And then he hole shots that heat race and leads that heat race for a minute, dude. Enzo is killing it. And yeah, like somebody brought up, PulpMX more or less putting Star to shame. Now, in Star's defense, I think Kitchen and Styles both went down. I'll have to rewatch it. I know for sure Styles went down. I think Kitchen at least had a little get-off moment. So, you know, no shame on them. Those guys are young. They're young riders with very little Supercross. Well, Styles, not so much. But Kitchen has a race and a half under his belt at this point. But, yeah, Enzo and Phil killing it. Just Phil killing it. I know I'm late. Yo, Ron Dog, it's good to see you, buddy. Yeah, Webb is back. Now, I will say, Ron Dog, like I told them earlier, I will say, this feels a lot like A1 last year, or I am going to give Cooper props for his podium finish, but I'm going to remind y'all what happened last year. Cooper ended up on the podium because Marvin took out Mookie, Barsha took out Anderson. Like, there was a lot of weird, wild stuff happening up front. AC faded. And that's what led him to get that second. And then the rest of the year, he was more of a 5th or 6th place guy. He is still a bulldog. He is still a racer. But you can't deny that Webb got second because Malcolm weeded himself out. Sexton weeded himself out. Barsha threw it away. Or Sexton didn't weed himself out. Sexton made multiple small errors that piled up. Barsha weeded himself out. Like, you know, Kenny made a couple mistakes. And so I'm not saying that he didn't earn that second, but I don't think he has second place. I don't think he's all of a sudden a contender like 2019. I think that he is still just a guy that can contend, if that makes sense. It's updated. Perfect. All right, let's go look at some scores. I got a new scene here. Is it this one? Yeah, baby, would you look at that? That's not the page I want to be on. I want to go to results is what I want to go to. Right, team results. Let's do rider results really quick and see. 287 was the high score. -6 was the dork score. 173 average. Only 24% with all 8 guys in the main, and 50% of those people had Forkner. Man, it leaves only about 12% of people that put them all in and also scored more than 4 points from their all-star. Marks, thank you so much for being perfect and sending me this. Championship teams, 10,839. 6,000 people picked FFL for 450. 61,000 picked 250. That is, or I'm sorry, not 61,000, 6,100. 6,000 and 6,100. Median score 176 and average score 173. So those were pretty close together. Total teams entered 23,752. Marks, is that a record? How far are we up from last year? I don't think you watched the same race I did. Webb caught all those guys. He caught them because they made mistakes. I mean, whatever. You can hand me all the L's you want. I guess that's what we do on the internet now. But he caught them all last year too, but those guys made mistakes earlier and they still allowed him to catch up on a very rough track. Again, take the rest of what I said as an example. I'm not taking away from Webb's finish. I'm just saying that when Webb comes out next week and those guys clean up their mistakes and he ends up 5th or 6th, don't be like, what happened to Webb? Because that's the same guy that we saw this week. 255, Brad, that's sick, man. 158 was 7. I am terrible. There's no such thing as terrible. Just get better. Christian Craig. Rob, to be fair, Craig was literally dead last off the start. And again, one of those things that you have to remember, same with AC. Craig's strongest attribute, I think, are his starts. And when he's not getting them, what are you going to do? He coming from the back, he should beat Well, not Malcolm. Did Malcolm end up getting last? Did he really? Because he was out there rolling around, I thought. Anyway, he should beat all of these guys for sure. Obviously, Craig should have no problem catching those. But then once you get up to here, this is just how deep this field is. Is Craig gonna catch and pass Marv, Barsha, Savachi, AC? Like that's kind of where he would be. Um, I think naturally, you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that Craig is a 13th place guy, but I mean, I would put him down in this Plusinger to Marvin range any week or whatever. Craig was busy editing his vlog. There you go. There you go. Cade, Benny, and Forkner. Okay, Ryan, Forkner was no fault of anybody's own, but Cade and Benny, you played yourself. You played yourself a little bit. Jason didn't look very good. Colby, I think he looked okay. This track was just gnarly. I'm not gonna fault any of the guys. I think Malcolm's was obviously a mechanical issue because it looked like he hit neutral or something along those lines. But Anderson, he just overjumped a little bit. It happens. That soil is really weird. McElrath's start into that, because it looks like obviously he was heavy on the front, but it looks like he was just too far inside and hit kind of like a sloppy point, and that's what caused it. And again, I'm like, that's just something that's not, I don't want to say that's not a rider error, because it sort of is, sort of still a rider error, but that kind of for me just goes back to if the rain wasn't what the rain was, maybe it would have been fine, you know. Give me a second. I'm gonna turn my gain up a little bit. The mic level is a little bit. There we go. Back into the yellow. Do you think he's ET3? RJ, I mean, I think he does. He needs to win 6 races out of the last 16. Again, I just want to say it. I mean, I was not somebody picking Eli for the title. But if the other competitors cannot capitalize on Eli, if the other guys in the field, if the other championship contenders, if Roczen, Webb, Anderson, all those guys, if they can't do it when Tomac crashes himself, when he makes an untimely error, then there's no chance they're catching him. There's no chance they can beat him in 17. We've got Sex and Anderson. They all made their own mistakes, but the one night that Tomac makes a mistake, even a little mistake, is the nights you have to capitalize on it. And they're not doing it. This reminds me of the moment in Happy Gilmore when he says Happy learned how to putt. That's Eli getting the starts. He won the practice starts, the fake practice starts. He got his heat race start. He was up front in the main. Like, Eli on that bike is getting starts, and he wins even on the nights he makes mistakes. How in the world are you how do you beat that guy? When does the 110 get announced? Jay, I think on the Pulp Show, Monday, I think that's when it happens. It's one of those races where Jason looked normal. Yeah, and he was fine. He was normal. Dude, Sexton with Bucky, did you see that he ran both of them? He ran the red jersey for the heat race and the white jersey for the main. Oh, what a touch. McElrath just barred his front tire. Yeah, Rondog, like, he was doing kind of fine slowing down, but as soon as he hit that slop, it was just over. Malcolm was in the lead, but he had the lead a few times last year, and he looks slower when he's in the lead. I don't know, Rob, I'm just trying not to read too much. I agree with you. First off, I just want to say I agree with you, but I'm trying not to read too much into this because this track was so gnarly that when I was like, oh my God, Malcolm's in the lead, and I looked at the clock, and I was like, not for 10 minutes, he's not. You know what I mean? Like, if it was 5 minutes to go, I think he could maybe do it. But I was like, he's got Sexton on his tail for 10 minutes. There's no chance. Got to know more about the background. These are old Cycle News pages that are some of my favorite. I grew up in the 90s, so most of them are from like the McGrath era because that's what I remember reading the most. But yeah, I just kind of made this on the cheap. It's not quite finished yet. You can see I got a gap here because that's where my chair normally is, and there's a couple like on the corners and stuff. But that's it. That's the thing. Did you like the split start? I did. Not this one as much. I think the split start would work better if it was longer, but this start was a little shorter, so I don't know if I like the split, you know what I mean? I liked it better at Glendale last year is what I'm trying to say. Everything has to go wrong for everyone else for Mookie to win. Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what happened. That's kind of what happened. How much RAM? 32, 32 commission. Is it running okay? Is it running smooth, or are we having issues? I'm using OBS Studio, which I never use, so it doesn't show me the frames where I'm normally seeing them. So if there's anything wrong, let me know. Webb looked like a completely new rider. No, you're fine. Whatever. I don't think he looked new. I think he looked like go back and watch A1. Go back and watch A1 last year and tell me, show me the difference. I'm not agreeing with you, but show me the difference. How many podiums does Kenny get on Suzuki? Yeah, 3, Rob. I think 3 sounds about right. Yeah, 3. There's just so many good guys out there. I want to say more. I want to be like, no, I think he get 5, but I'm like, who does he beat? How often? I think that we have to go in thinking every single week that Tomac, Sexton, and Anderson are the podium, except for when things get wonky for one of them, and I just don't. But like, not just does he need to beat those 3, he also needs to beat, Ferrandis and Muskin and Barsha and Craig and AC and all those other guys too. So 3. I was gonna say, Raul, I'm waiting for the replay to be available in Peacock so we can rewatch the start. And oh, there we go, the replay's up. So let me get it muted and I'll start skimming it. Oh, got ads now. Great. Hope this doesn't kill. Man, I don't think it will, Reese. I don't think it will, because that was not an error on his part at all. I don't think that was 100% a mechanical issue. And I say mechanical, like not like it was the bike broke, but like getting in neutral's that's not your fault. Like that happens. It's happened to all of us. That happens in your car sometimes. You know what I mean? For those of you that still drive, still shift on your own. What happened to Muskin? I don't know, Ryan. He just didn't get a good start and he didn't pass anybody. But again, Ryan, I'm just still in that thing of who does he pass? If Marvin gets a 10th place start, we know on a good night he can pass all these guys, but who does he pass? Like, I don't see Marv catching and gapping Barsha, Plessinger, Anderson, Roczen, and those guys. Like, sure, Nichols, I don't know how much about Nichols are we reading into it. He got 6th. Like, was that good? Like, do we think that Nichols is that good? Or again, are we giving him the Anderson should have beat him, Plessinger fell, AC and Craig had terrible starts, Barsha fell, Mookie fell. Like, I think that Nichols could have easily been 11th tonight. And again, that's not a shot. It's not like these guys didn't deserve it or something like that. It just feels like, I don't know, man. There's too much good racing happened tonight for us to boil it down to just a single moment. Here we got the start. We'll see if we can get the tank slappings. I can't put too much of this or the video gets deleted. So let me come back. Let me come back to this screen. That miser Supercross live. All right, here's the start on the nose. So we've got Anderson, AC, and is that Ferrandis that's on their other side? Oh man, yeah. So Ferrandis gets pushed a little bit, and then AP gets it. And what sucks is that he had a good jump too. Oh man, that was gnarly, dude. No wonder he didn't get a great start. Oh, holy. He still wasn't in that bad of a spot right there. Oh, and then he runs into the back of AP. Did you see that? He jars into the back of AP, and that lets Anderson by him. And then yeah, so he was almost last on that start. He was like 2 from the end. Watch him hit AP's rear tire, right? Here, poof. Like even AP lunges forward. Is this Craig then all the way in the back? So Craig was that far back. Wow, yeah, so Craig was literally wheeling it in the back. So at the start, we've got AC and Craig, who are two of the best starters in the class, are literally in the back with probably John Short and I don't even know, it looks like a KTM. Was that Marv also? That looks like a Red Bull KTM. So we've got Marv, AC, and Craig, literally, and John Short, I believe, or Norin, but probably John Short, back here. Like, good ride for them. Putting it together and coming back up, because there's not really, I mean, there's really not much you can do about that. That's harsh. That sucks. How many people knew Chase was going to make a mistake? I honestly, yeah, I mean, I think he was. I agreed. I agreed. Chap, and because he did make a mistake, though. Chap, he did make mistakes. Like he did not have as clean of a race as he definitely would have liked. Um, I he's young, man. He's young. I know that this is his third year and whatever, but he's still 23. Um, he just turned 23. Like he's young. And at what point do we say that? Because at 23, you've got some of these other guys winning their first titles, but I'm just not. I just think of the other kind of mistakes. Like think of the weirdo, wacky mistakes that Tomac was making back in 2017, 2018, 2019. All three of those titles that he absolutely should have won and he didn't. Sexton's doing fine. He's got plenty of time to be the guy. I know that Jet's coming, but I feel like Jet's going to make the same kind of mistakes that Chase is making now. So, yeah, that was Marv back on my team. There you go. It was a small mistakes though. Knew he got tight and backed down. Way different. Yep, I agree. I agree, Lou. I agree. He's now fighting for the title. Do you think Enzo takes the fill-in spot? Shadow, I don't think he does, man. I mean, first off, where would maybe Enzo want to go? If he went to Star, maybe, but I don't think if I'm Enzo Lopes, I'm leaving this club bike that you literally are top qualifier on, you're pulling hole shots on. I mean, where do you go? Where like sure TLD could have a spot open, but I don't know if that's a significant upgrade, especially because he's going from an aluminum frame to a steel frame, which I don't know if he's ever ridden steel frame in his professional career. So I don't know. Why is Oakland on so early next week? That's a good question, Cross. I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule yet. They do that weirdness. Supercross is a night thing, man. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm an East Coast guy. It's 1:41 in the morning right now. I am tired. I am sick and I am tired. But I would rather do this than the races be over and then they're going out to brunch afterwards. You know what I mean? Gonna make a gamble this early, but I'm gonna say Webb wins the championship this year. Colton, I don't want to say I would love to see it because I'm not like the biggest Cooper Webb fan, so I'm not gonna be like I would love to see that happen, but I would love to see him in play for it deep into the year. Was AC off? Oh, Cody, we just looked at it. We just looked at it. I don't know if you saw it or not. Let me get it queued back up because again, I can't show too much footage or else it will get the video the VOD gets blocked, like the recorded version. But AC gets speed wobbles and then smashes into the back of AP, and he is literally like one of the last three off the gate. So I don't think from him to go from 20th to 8th in this field is incredible. So here and then right about here, it looks like he touches Ferrandis maybe right there. Oh, so he runs into AP actually. It looks like maybe Ferrandis kind of threw his weight off. Speed wobbles right there, which I can't believe he didn't wreck because he could have easily ended up on the ground like Forkner. And then right here, he rams it up AP's pooper. He hits them so hard that it like almost comically throws the momentum forward. And then right there, he's literally back here with John Short, Christian Craig, Marvin Musquin. So the fact that Marv and I don't know that's Marv, but I mean that looks like his Red Bull O'Neill gear. So I'm gonna say that's Marv, but I don't definitely know that. Being that far back, can we get the? Yeah, I'm gonna pull this off because for a second just to be safe, but Yeah, that's who it is. AC, Muskin, Craig, 19, 20, and 22 on the start across the whole shot line. I'm all about that East Coast. Yeah, I'm glad he's good. Yeah, Cody. Yeah, it was gnarly, man. For the fact that imagine what is your heart rate like? Like legit question for y'all. Like I would love to ask AC, show him this footage. What is your heart rate like when you just saw Forkner die on the track, and you're doing this down? Have you guys ever like I raced flat track as a kid, and we literally had steering dampeners, which were hydraulic. Things you would mount to the frame and the handlebar so that you don't get speed wobbles. Like it would make the bars very difficult to turn, because in flat track you don't need to turn as abruptly as you do motocross. But I've had those before. I've had those, and I could not imagine doing that in that moment with all of those guys around you. That would just be crazy. You know what I mean? Cole with whole shot and rookie 450. Yeah, that was great, man. That was great. Yeah, he did great. So again, like I'm not taking anything away from Nichols. I don't think HRC could have asked more from Colt Nichols than to come out, whole shot the main event, stay up on two wheels, keep your mistakes to a minimum, and ride to a nice, comfy 6th place finish. That's incredible. He was the highest finished second guy? Because he beat everybody else that, because we had Yamaha, KTM, Honda, Yamaha. No, Ferrandis was the highest finishing second guy because there was 2 Yamahas in the top 4. But still, man, props to Nichols for coming out and doing that. He had no business being up that far. And again, did he benefit from Anderson, Plessinger, all of those guys going down, making silly mistakes? Yeah, of course he did. But like, as a rookie, you can't ask more for a guy to come out here and do what he did. That's incredible, you know? It's being able to get your heart rate down. Yeah, that's the thing, Loop. Yeah, for sure. HRC not running the white. I know, Joey. I was so upset. I don't know about you guys. I know a lot of people are traditionalists, and don't get me wrong, I am too. I like my Hondas red and blah, blah, blah. But those white bikes were so hot, and I'm like, why even bring them if you're not going to run them? Because now I'm kind of biased. Teal, pink. So a lot of people were like, I don't like the colors with them. I love them, but I'm biased. So I digress. Do the Hill brothers get any better? No, Shadow. I don't think so. I think this is where we can expect him. Again, you know what? Technically, yes. But that's just because the field will thin out, Shadow. Between now and the final round, the field will thin out. Justin Hill could sneak in a top 10 by the end of the year as long as he can stay healthy. But again, who of the guys ahead of Justin Hill do you see him beating in a straight up fight? Like, does he beat, now obviously not like a fight, but because he's a shadow boxer. Like, does he take Barsha? Does he take Savachi? Does he take Plessinger, Anderson? Like, I don't see him catching and passing any of those guys. So he would either have to get the whole shot out of his mind, or he would need people to make mistakes ahead of him, you know? Justin Hill ended up 15th, right behind Dean. Ken is basically the same as last year. I agree, Andre. I mean, I think that's where he slots in now. I think even on HRC, I think he's a top 5 guy. He's definitely not on the level of Tomac and Webb, Sexton, those type of guys anymore. Cody, sort of, but the thing we just watched, same thing. Christian Craig was literally dead last off of that. Now, to be fair, Craig should have, could have, would have. He had no reason he couldn't catch up with AC and Marvin, but I think the difference is that everybody knows Craig's greatest weapon. He's a 99, you know, if we're going Madden ratings, he's a 99 in the whoops. These whoops were a rhythm section, man. People like went over one and then they literally jumped 5 of them on the way out. So I think we need to get Craig a real set of whoops before we judge too harshly. What happened to Bloss? Benny happened to Benny. You know, you already know. No, and he does, Sean. Like, I don't want to take anything away from that. I've been a huge Ken Roczen fan for most of his career. I don't mean that in any negative way. I just mean at this point in his career, I'm not saying he can't win. I'm just saying he is a guy that I expect to be a top 5 guy every week, not necessarily a podium guy week in and week out. I mean, let's be honest. Those guys are Anderson, Sexton, and Tomac right now. I think, and you can disagree with me. I'm not upset about it, but in my eyes, those are your 3 that are. They should be on the podium every night, if as long as things don't go poorly. That will probably be the most. Those 3 guys should add up for the most podiums at the end of the year, is what I'm trying to say. But I've been at Andre, he was sick. He posted, I reposted it on Instagram. He posted a picture in a porta, well, not in a porta, but on the toilet with his pants around his ankles, saying, "This is what I'm doing all night." So he was in the bathroom is where he was at, if that's what you're asking. You know what I mean? Oh, Dean just wants to not die. That's true, yeah. AP looked great. And you know what, Aaron? AP still finishing 8th because he apparently went down. He looked spicy in the main, too. I think AP could be a surprise pick this year. I'm not going to go as far as to say AP is going to like finish top 5 in points or anything like that, but I think that he's going to sneak in way more top 5s than we were expecting. Was it just me? Oh, yeah, commission. There's a reason that Alpine Stars guy was trying to be like, "Malcolm, dude, chill. You're good. Hold on." Like, they don't do that all the time. So the fact that he was literally like, hey, Malcolm, and not letting him get back to his bike, there was a reason for that, because he was either concussed or he at least was so concerned with Malcolm because of the way he was acting or how long he was on the ground that he needed to do his due diligence on him. So yeah, I think Malcolm was definitely just seeing stars, at least for a little bit, you know. Craig should have finished where he belongs. They all should finish where they belong. If we had that heat race AP, I'd put my money on that guy, right? Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have ever done it, man. How many of you guys have raced or ridden at a high level? And again, it's different. I never raced motocross at a serious level. I raced flat track at a serious level. But even in flat track, man, like I remember going down my last series of races ever was the 99 AMA Amateur Nationals, which is essentially Loretta Lynn's for flat track. And I was having a really good weekend. I went 3-3, and then I got 7th in the TT, which was never my specialty. So I was like, 7th is fine. And on the half mile, I wrecked, and I remember wrecking, and it felt like an eternity. Like I didn't even want to get back on the bike because it felt so long that I was like, couldn't catch my breath and everything, that I thought for sure I was out. And my dad was like, "No, get back out there and do it." And I ended up 8th, which doesn't sound that great, but I was like, yo, I ended up 5th overall because of that. But in that moment, I remember the wreck, and I remember getting up, and it felt like I was walking circles for so long. And you guys know in flat track, the laps are not that long. So I can't even imagine what Malcolm was feeling, you know? Yeah, and Cacti, I agree. The star team, but this is a rebuild year, you know. I think they went out. It reminds me of like baseball. They went out and signed Jordan Smith because they wanted to get a more veteran kind of leadership guy that can teach these kids. But this is a rebuild year. They won 3 titles in 2 years. That's a really big deal. And they're obviously gonna have Justin Cooper on the 250 outdoor. So I just think they're just looking for kitchen styles. I don't really have a ton for Romano. I don't have a ton of expectations for Romano. But you know, J-Mart and Jordan Smith are just kind of veterans, and I think J-Mart, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think he's a like legitimate title threat really anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a title threat in the outdoor series, but I'm not like writing the list right now. I'm not putting J-Mart at the top of it. So it's definitely a rebuild year, and I think they're fine. I think they're fine with Kitchen and Styles coming out and collecting top 5s. You know what I mean? Can you explain the ANSI switch? Vic, he got hurt. He hurt his back late. I don't know how late. It feels like maybe he did like real late. It was really weird that they showed up, that he was there showing up and whatever. But I heard injury, his back. And do you like Tomac's Boba scrub? Yeah, he scrubbed just a little too hard. Oh, that's right. J-Mart. Yeah, J-Mart's on club now. My bad. LeBlanc is right. LeBlanc is there a fifth? Is there fifth guy? Deegan's not racing. I know a lot of people say that. I mean, I'm not gonna say. I'll say he's not racing, and then he's gonna race, and then people will be like, "You said he wasn't gonna race," and he's gonna race. Thrasher, obviously Thrasher. Yeah, Thrasher. That's the one. Um, Mookie was Blazed. Blazed is definitely the one. Yeah. Do you think Deegan will fill in? No, Wamba, I don't. I don't. There's no reason for them to rush Deegan out. The worst scenario could be the reason that Deegan, and I don't want the Deegan people on me about this, but like the reason that Deegan is not going to race is because they do not want to have a believe the hype happen again. There's no reason to bring him out before his dad and the team are ready to do it. And I would love to clip this for Instagram or something, but like I do not want that attention over here on me. But there's no reason for them to bring him when he's less than prepared. You know what I mean? So we'll see him when we see him, and he's definitely not going to just randomly pop up for a Supercross because that was a really dumb thing to do. And I stand behind that. I stand behind that so much. Like I stand behind that's a great idea. That's what they should do. There's just really not any reason to do it. Poltelli, Shadow, I don't know. I don't know. I expected more from him, but I also didn't think he was like a bona fide main event guy. I did think he was gonna be closer than he was, but I'm not sure. Kind of like Volant. Yeah, Rondog. Volant's a great example because look at them bringing in Volant, and he did not perform. And let's be honest, Volant has had two very good teenager outdoor years. They're obviously not jet level, but he came out as a teenager, led laps, got starts, had two good outdoor years. And people are literally like, oh, he needs to put up or shut up. He needs to put up or shut up this year because his Supercross results haven't been right where they need to be. I bet Red Bull, Max, Talon, I bet all of those guys would have much rather had Volant come out and go what Deegan looks like he's going to do of start him off slow, give him half a year of motocross, or give him a couple rounds of motocross, then the next year bring him to more rounds of motocross, and then on that third year bring him out for Supercross. I think Volant would have done incredible because tonight he did really good. What did Volant end up? He ended up top 5. He was ahead of Kitchen. He was ahead of Robertson. He beat Enzo Lopes, who looked incredible all night. He was that next guy behind Mitch, McAdoo, Hampshire, and Lawrence. So, I think Volant he needs a little bit more time to cook. How's Mookie? I don't know, K-Trash. I haven't heard anything, but I will definitely let everybody know either via Roto or Racer X or whatever when we have more, Speed. So we watched, I don't want to watch it again because we've watched it so many times, but Craig, we watched it back. Craig, AC, and Marv were 19, 20, and 22 off the start. So yeah, I think that Marv could have passed more guys, but this field's just so deep right now that when he's dead last through the line, he's going to waste 5 laps getting through, Starling, the Hill brothers, Harlan, Morans, Norin, Short. Then he's going to catch, and like Dean Wilson is the 15th best guy, and he's still a 250 champion kind of guy. So, Marvin's not going to make quick work out of Dean, Craig, Barsha, Savachi. So, I mean, that's just where we are. I think that starts are going to be, and this goes out to all my fantasy players out there, starts are going to be so killer this year with it being as fat and thick of a field that if you got to pick guys that are going to get starts because you are not going to be able to pass. I mean, sure, obviously, guys like Eli, Anderson, those guys can rip through the pack. But even then, you take Anderson and put him in 21st, half 22nd off the gate. I don't know how, especially on a track like this, how well he was gonna do. You know what I mean? Dean was 11th off the start. Looking at the start numbers here, Nichols pulled the whole shot. Roczen, Tomac were 2 and 3. Barsha, Malcolm. Freddie Norin was 6th. Cooper Webb was 7th. Great start for Webb, like great mid-pack start for Webb. Sexton was 8. Moran's Justin Hill, Dean Wilson, Savachi. So Plessinger was a 13th place start and passed his way up. That's incredible. Then fell and then still ended up 8th. Anderson was 14th around the first turn. Harlan, Josh Hill, Starling. Ferrandis, 18th place. Wow. Wow. You know how I was just sitting here saying, giving Cianciarulo, Craig, and Muskin a pass for because I'm like, oh, they started so far back, blah, 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 blah. Ferrandis, 18th place start, and he still finished top 5. Incredible ride from Ferrandis. Hats off to that man. That new YZ 450, oh my God. Wow. I'm not sponsored by, I'm not paid by, Steve doesn't tell me to say it, but like, I wasn't a Yamaha kid growing up. I'm not a fan at all, but wow. I mean, that bike just must be incredible. Roczen overjumped everything. Dan, I don't know. It could just be that he hasn't had nearly as much time on his bike as anybody else has. You know, like that's really it. They touched that on the broadcast. That's not me, breaking any news here. He's been on the Suzuki for a month. When you've got guys like, Anderson Anderson not so much because he had 2 years, but Sexton's been on the same bike for 3 years. Webb, all of what KTM's been on for 2. Even Tomac said he rode the new bike as early as outdoor season, so he's at least had access to the 2023 for the last 6 months. Kenny's had been on Suzuki for a month, man. So that's about it, Nichols wasn't brought up near enough in the broadcast. Gasky, I agree with you 100%, Nichols, but like, when do you bring him up? When do you talk about him? Like, this was a race that I don't think there was time to mention anybody that wasn't in the action, because it was pretty much every 3 laps we had some crazy action going. And normally I'm with you. I hate when the guys with solid rides don't get any TV coverage, but this is one of those times. Big exception. This was just an incredible night of racing, and I would have loved to have seen any of those other guys get any amount of coverage, but in what way could you possibly cover them? You know what I mean? But it's 2:01 in the morning here, so I appreciate you guys all tuning in with me, doing this with me. I don't have a sponsor for this. I don't get paid in any way for this. I just really like doing this, hanging out with you guys, stuff like that. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching this. Maybe bug Davey, bug Weege. Don't do that, but maybe let them know that this would be cool to do with Racer X. I'd love to do this some more on a more official level. But y'all have been great. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm gonna wrap it up here. So until next time, stay glued to Racer X, stay glued to RotoMoto, stay glued to PulpMX. You'll see me on all 3 of those. And y'all have a great night. Have a good weekend. Take care. Later, y'all.